You can order the radiator used in the video on CarParts.com via the link in the description. Turn off your vehicle's ignition. Set the parking brake. Pull the hood release handle and open the hood. For safety reasons, we advise you to disconnect the battery. To do so, we recommend watching the video, How to Replace the Toyota Camry Car Battery. In order to change the radiator on your vehicle, you will need to lift your vehicle to have full access. Lift the front of your vehicle. Place the vehicle on the jack stands. We strongly suggest watching our video on How to Jack Your Toyota Camry Safely before carrying out this step. You need to drain the coolant circuit. Get a fluid collection container to collect the coolant that will flow out. On this vehicle, the radiator is equipped with the bleed screw, which you access from the underside of the vehicle on the driver's side. Connect a plastic tube to the bleed port to collect the coolant directly into the collection container. You can then unscrew the bleed screw to let the coolant flow. To facilitate the flow of coolant, open the cap in the coolant expansion tank. For more information, we recommend that you watch our video, How to Perform a Coolant Flush Toyota Camry. Using a ratchet and a 10mm socket, remove the 3 screws holding the mud flap on the passenger side. Using the same tools, unscrew the screws holding the 2-piece engine splash shield. Using a fork, remove the 3 rivets holding the half splash shield on the passenger side. Then remove it by sliding it towards the rear of the vehicle. Next, using a pair of adjustable pliers, compress the retaining ring of the coolant hose, which is connected to the radiator. Then, remove the hose. Before removing the lower hose, place a collection container under it as coolant will flow out. You can purchase the parts we used here by visiting our website at CarParts.com. In order to access the radiator, you need to remove certain parts. Start by removing the plastic cover by pulling on the 9 plastic rivets using a fork. Then remove the cover. Using a 10mm wrench, unscrew the air inlet duct bolt. Then remove the resonator. Next, using adjustable pliers, compress the retaining ring of the coolant hose, which is connected to the radiator filler cap. Then remove the hose. Using a ratchet, an extender, and a 10mm socket, unscrew the 2 bolts holding the expansion tank. Then remove the overflow hose. Then remove the expansion tank. Using a flathead screwdriver, remove the power connector from the passenger side fan motor by pressing the tab and pulling on the connector. Next, using a fork, unclip the electrical harness located on the ventilation unit. Remove the power connector from the driver's side fan motor. Unclip the coolant hose attached to the ventilation unit. Using a 10mm wrench, unscrew the 3 bolts holding the hood hatch. Then shift it. Then, using the same tool, unscrew the bolt holding the hood hatch support located on the radiator support upper tie bar. Unscrew the 2 bolts on the horn retaining brackets using a 12mm wrench. Using a 10mm wrench and an 8mm wrench, unscrew the 4 bolts holding the radiator support upper tie bar. Then, remove the tie bar. Using a flathead screwdriver, remove the upper rubber insulators from the radiator. Using a 10mm wrench, unscrew the 2 upper retaining bolts of the air conditioning condenser on the radiator. Followed by the 2 lower retaining bolts. You can now lift the radiator to free the 2 rubber insulators at the bottom of the radiator and extract it through the top. Place the radiator on the ground and collect the lower rubber insulators from the radiator. Remove the radiator cap. You now need to disengage the fan assembly from the radiator. To do this, use adjustable pliers to clamp the 3 retaining lugs. Then remove the fan assembly. Hey, it's Alex from CarParts.com. If you enjoyed this video and want to support us, like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, back to work. You can order the radiator used in the video on CarParts.com via the link in the description. Take the new radiator and remove the covers from the fan assembly retaining lugs. Place the fan assembly on the radiator and clip it in. Close the radiator cap. Place the two lower rubber insulators on their support. Then spray them with silicone grease to facilitate installation of the radiator. You can now install the radiator assembly by inserting it into the two rubber insulators. Put the air conditioning condenser back on the radiator assembly. Then screw the 4 bolts back on. Place the two upper rubber insulators on the radiator. Put the radiator support upper tie bar in place by inserting the two insulators. Then screw the 4 bolts back on. Screw the 2 horns back on. Then screw the hood hatch support back on. Put the hood hatch back in place. And screw it back on. Reconnect the fan motor power connectors. Then clip the harness back on. Clip the coolant hose back into the fan assembly. Put the expansion tank back in place. Next, screw the 2 retaining bolts back in. Reconnect the overflow hose. Reconnect the upper coolant hose. Then put the clamp back in place. Put the resonator back in the airbox. Then screw the air inlet duct bolt back. Put the plastic cover back on. Then put the 9 rivets back on. Using adjustable pliers, put the lower hose back onto the radiator. Install the splash shield on the passenger side. Then put the 3 rivets back in place. Replace the mud flap. Screw back in the 3 screws holding the mud flap. Then screw the 3 holding screws back in. Then you can rest your vehicle on the ground. Now you need to refill the radiator with coolant and purge any air from the circuit. To do this, we recommend that you watch our video, How to Perform a Coolant Flush Toyota Camry. The video also shows how to expel air from the circuit when refilling it. Reconnect the battery. Operation complete.